In my quest to make a video about the 10 worst rated horror games of all time, I stumbled on something very unexpected. A game that made numerous lists not due to its technical failures, but its supposed unethical content and violence against women. What if I told you this is possibly the most infamous horror game in history?
The danger arises when the subject of the software is of a violent nature.
It is a sick, disgusting video game. Shame on people that produce that trash.
That these games are really violent and people, are really up in arms about them.
I find this segment deeply offensive and believe that it simply should be taken off the market.
It ought to be taken off the market entirely, or at the very least, its most objectionable scenes should be removed.
Welcome back to the Stash. Today we're going to be talking about Night Trap. If you've ever played any video games before, you've probably seen one of these bad boys stuck on the bottom side of the game box. But how could a game that looks like this create such a political hellstorm that our government pushes the industry to create the rating system that we're still stuck with to this very day? Well, let's fucking find out. Originally developed by Axion in 1986 for the ControlVision console, a doomed VHS-based console that aimed to capture a niche market that sadly met its fate before it could be released. However, thanks to its director, Night Trap was soon picked up and finished by his company Digital Pictures to eventually be released in October of 1992 for the Sega CD. Night Trap was a full-motion video game that combined live-action footage with interactive gameplay, which at the time was pretty cutting-edge. We had seen FMV-style games before with the likes of Dragon's Lair, but this one was touting to have basically an entire horror movie within its content. But at the time, the world was basically having a slasher renaissance, as seen here. Look at all these movies that came out in 1992. Candyman?
Candyman.
So then how could this game be so controversial? I mean, look at this. And then look at this. Well, let's talk about the story. We start out in this sweet covert operations room filled with the Predator team from Wish called the SCAT team. I'm not kidding, the SCAT team.
Who are you?
We're SCAT, Special Control Attack Team. You've got some explaining to do.
Who approved that? We get a little breakdown and a cheeky fourth wall break where we find out we're the operator tasked with surveilling the Martin family's house. Apparently, 5 teenagers went missing after having a slumber party there, so while a new crop of teenagers is being lured in for another slumber party, the SCAT team is going to infiltrate with an undercover agent named Kelly, who's also a teenager.
Come on, isn't she a little young?
She's young. She's one of our best.
I don't know, don't ask questions. It's our job to activate deadly traps the family has previously set up to stop the augurs, these blood-drinking bozos, from killing any of the teens or our agents. Now right there, I gotta say, wouldn't that be enough to sort of just get like search warrants? I don't know. I've watched enough Law and Order to imagine that if 5 teens disappeared and then some security force found out that the house that they were in before they disappeared had security cameras and deadly fucking traps, that maybe some judge would go like, yeah, I think we should probably check it out. Not go, I don't know, do a little sting operation. So a group of teenage girls arrives at the Martins family house for their slumber party. We're then introduced to the Martin family and their security system, which includes the cameras we used and the aforementioned traps to protect the house. They supposedly make and sell wine in this house, and the dad also speaks French because vampires are old. Okay, we also then learned that the trap color to activate the codes, this little thing right there, yeah, that changes periodically, but the only way we know when it changes is if we're watching one of the family scenes and this slightly shittier voiceover says what color they're going to change it to.
Gotcha.
I'd feel better if we switched the code again to green.
And I want you to remember that, because shit's gonna get pretty fucking chaotic here, and that's gonna be the hardest part of this fucking game. Fucking trap colors, man. The girls meet some of the fam, have a party, and eventually settle in for the night, and of course, the player is tasked with monitoring the cameras and keeping an eye out for any intruders. Hey, protecting teenage girls and commandos from waddling vampires. It seems pretty easy, right? Suddenly, the girls are attacked by a group of these augurs. Yeah. just like, look at the wall. Oh yeah, terrifying. It's now our job to activate the traps when the augurs reach the red zone to capture them and protect the girls. As the night goes on, more and more augurs arrive in bigger groups and more rooms at once, and we have to use pretty quick reflexes to keep everyone safe. Now that all sounds pretty cut and dry, but the game unfolds in real time and we have to make split-second decisions to trap these goons. And when I say split-second, I mean it. Shit is happening so fast at some point that I'm just spamming through different feeds looking for augurs, spamming through these scenes and just smashing it as soon as the thing goes red. And then you're missing so much. You miss so much. Like, you're just dashing through these fucking scenes. Like, look at all this. Look what I missed.
Hold it! Yeah, right.
It's actually my biggest complaint. I spent time intentionally failing just so I could watch some of the scenes, because honestly, these are 80s B-movie gold.
Hello. So sorry to disturb you like this. So sorry to barge in.
Just listen to that.
But I was wondering if maybe you had seen my boat.
Your boots.
My boat. Boat! Oh!
Oh, that dialogue.
My boat hinted.
So good. As the player investigates the house, they discover that one of the girls, Lisa, is actually working with the augurs. She's a vampire and undercover as well, which we would have seen if we weren't paying attention earlier when her eyes turned green in this room right here. But since you're already terrified of missing the first augurs, you're spamming through and you absolutely do not fucking see this. So the game sort of spoils it, but then also doesn't at the same time, which I guess depending on how you look at it, is pretty fucking good. In the game's climactic finale, the Martin family parents return to the house to see you've been making an absolute shit mess of their plans. And they round up the scat team in the office with some of the best dialogue in the whole thing. I am not kidding.
Vampires, you gotta be jabbing me.
I don't think you understand, Mr. Martin, but you're in serious trouble.
They kick their ass. Oh my god. In the worst display of elite commando behavior, they get absolutely just mollywopped. And you can honestly just do nothing, so don't even fucking try. Just enjoy. They give you that. And then you follow Kelly as she's running from the main family, and they go into all these different rooms, and you have to use the main trap at the right moment as they fully fucking acknowledge the trap that you're using.
Ow! A closet trap!
But it was going to be a surprise.
Where just moments ago, bullets, shotgun bullets, wouldn't do a fucking thing to these guys. But that door trap. Not the door trap. The fucking door trap. The game ends with all the girls saved, and you are the hero being thanked for your quick thinking and bravery, and cue to, you know, the best goddamn theme song maybe a video game has ever had. I'm not kidding. I'll play it. Okay, I'm done playing it because I want to get monetized one day, but you should look it up. I'll leave a link to it. It's so good. It's so good. Like, that may be where a lot of the budget went. So, honestly, looking at this now, and even maybe looking at it back then, Night Trap is really tame compared to what else was coming out in '92. You have to understand, Night Trap was released during a time when video games were still largely seen as a children's medium, so critics and politicians do what they do best. They freak the fuck out.
There was a graphic depiction of the violence against women with strong overtones of sexual violence. I find this segment deeply offensive and believe that it simply should be taken off the market.
The game was deemed too violent and sexually explicit. A U.S. senator even called for a congressional investigation into the game's content. Even the head of Nintendo at the time said that it would never appear on Nintendo consoles.
I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
The game's use of live-action footage meant the player was essentially watching a movie with the interactivity thrown in. This made the game's violence and sexual content seem more realistic, and in the eyes of some more impressionable minds, it could be more dangerous. But even at that standpoint, it's still really tame. The most controversial scene is considered the bathroom scene, which I'll play a clip for you now. So were these criticisms justified? I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say, right? I mean, obviously they were really blown out of proportion. But due to this outrage and the release of Mortal Kombat that same year, the witch hunt was on. And so the ESRB board was developed to help label the games we play to this day. And while they wanted to stop the game from reaching any popularity, it of course had the exact opposite effect, and Night Trap started selling like crazy.
Want to sell something to 16-year-old boys? Get it banned by Toys R Us. You know, you can't keep enough of a supply at the warehouse.
Because what is better than playing a game that no one wants you to play, especially your parents or the government? This controversy helped pave the way for more mature and adult-themed games to be accepted by the mainstream, which I think we can all agree is pretty pivotal, as it allowed so many other great games to be made and not get stepped on by politicians who clearly have nothing better to do. Look, this game is a ton of fun to play. You're gonna feel fucking frantic the entire time you play, but honestly, I think that's kind of part of the charm. FMV games are a pretty unique slice of history pie that I really enjoy snacking on, and I think they should stick around because the concept is cool, and we've seen a return to a similar style with things like Black Mirror's Bandersnatch, which you should also check out if you haven't. I definitely wouldn't put Night Trap in my bottom 10 worst horror games I've ever played. But what do you think? Have you played it? Is it worth its infamous hype? Is this the most infamous horror game in history? I don't know. Let me know in the comments section below. If you like all things horror, gameplay, playthroughs, deep dives, reviews, all that good stuff, maybe consider giving us a little like, or maybe even subscribing and seeing what else we got on the channel. And until next time, stay spooky, my friends, and I will see you very soon.